Good afternoon. How are you all doing? How is everybody today? This fine Tuesday, boring morning, afternoon, or whatever it is. God, this market's dead. Dead. It's just not moving. Morning, Danny, Camille, Callum, George, Themba, Paul, Ryan, Mark, AZ, Neo, David, Noob. How are we all doing? So, yeah. ADR dashboard. Nothing to look at. Weekly range. Nothing to look at. RSIs. Nothing to look at. It ain't going anywhere. You can ask a noob question if you want, only because your name is Noob on a Grind. Otherwise, wouldn't be able to ask a noob question. And what are you going to do when you're not a noob anymore? You're going to change your name to Pro on a Grind? Can you even do that? I don't know. What a morning. Sitting here, I've been just trying to find something to get into. It's absolutely dead. Absolutely dead. I haven't seen it like this for a while. Whereas yesterday I thought, yeah, well, it's no news. So, there's no news day. It's normally quite quiet. Today, where the claimant counts come out, which I thought, yeah, that'll wake the pound up. Nothing. So, yeah, did get some movement, but it's just undone it. So, yeah, awful. We got Macklem at 110. I was hoping that something might come out of that, but again, nothing. Financial juice. Dead. Yeah, so this is Macklem speaking. There. That was it. So it's just there's literally no news. There's nothing happening. Bank of Japan came out this morning and said that there's little need for them to hike interest rates next week. So the interest rates are coming out on Friday. So they're going to stay where they are. Apparently, that's their consensus. But apart from that, there's no other news to report this morning. So yeah, this is going to be a short stream. If the market doesn't open fast on the indices, it's going to be a very short one. We'll see. But yeah, utterly dire. Just no RSIs. Just nothing. Anywhere. Anyway, the ECB is going to cut rates, and so many people will want to move their money somewhere where they can get better interest rates. Doesn't necessarily work like that. It's to do with economy and all sorts of other stuff. But yeah, I mean, you should get a drop in the euro. So isn't it pretty clear that euro exchange rate will fall? Yeah. What's wrong with the idea of taking a big position on this, and what could go wrong? Lots of stuff. So if you go short on the euro now, today, assuming on Thursday they drop the interest rates down to 3.65. So there's two issues with that. First is you don't know if the market has already factored the drop in. If the market's already factored the drop in and we get the result we're expecting, the market doesn't need to drop. Yeah. The other cross that you're trading with also has a big impact on it. So, for example, the Australians are not reducing their interest rates. So they should be strong. So if they are strong, euro would be bearish. If we get what we expect and the market doesn't drop the euro, it goes bullish or remains where it is, this won't go anywhere. If the market is looking at that 3.65 and wanting to put a massive order in when it comes because they weren't expecting it, they're expecting to get a 3.75 and they actually deliver a 3.75, they may well spike it up. Yeah, you can obviously take a speculative trade, but the word you've got in there is big position. That's gambling, basically. You're just gambling on the fact that it's going to go down. You might as well walk into a casino with £1,000 and go red or black, because the odds of this doing that or that on Thursday are 50-50, red or black on a casino. If you're going to use a big position, if you want to take a small position trade with a 1/4 or 0.5% risk over an ADR and it goes against you, you can do something about it. If you get in here with 5% big position short and it goes against you and it decides it doesn't want to drop because Lagarde comes out and says we're going to drop down to 3.65, but this is to see what impact it has on interest rates and next time inflation, and next time we're going to raise the interest rates. The market could rally for the next 3 weeks. All sorts of things can go wrong. So small positions, no problem. Big positions, you're just gambling. So you can also put a stop loss in place, obviously. So you could get in with a 5% short here today, stick a stop above that high. With all news events, they will move the market, and they will move the market where they need to move it to. If they can't get an order on short because there's no liquidity, they may push it up to find liquidity to enter a short position, in which case then you get stopped out and the market goes the way you want. There is no way of forecasting the future. If it was obvious and easy as that, we'd all do it. We'd all be millionaires. It just does not work that way. Go and look at non-farm payroll on Friday here. So this is non-farm payroll on Friday, yeah? Yeah, on the Euro odd. Look at the US dollar CAD non-farm payroll. Yeah, big spike to the downside. And then it flew up 200% of ADR. Yeah, the result was as expected. Go back and look at the non-farm payroll from Friday and look at what the result was. Unemployment rate 4.2. That was a forecast result. Yeah, we had a 200 ADR spike in the positive direction on an as expected result. You also had non-farm employment change drop, which is negative for the US dollar. Yeah, it did spike down by 1/4 to 1/2 an ADR, but then it flew 200% the other direction. Everybody, if you are trading news, would go, but hang on, that's a negative number. It should go down. Yeah, but the Canadian also had a negative number. Yeah, so if you look at the US Swiss on that day, what you got was a massive whipsaw for an hour and then a smaller whipsaw for the next 2 hours or 3 hours, and you didn't actually go anywhere. Yeah, so you just don't know what's going to happen. It's impossible to tell. The main reason is because there isn't one driver that drives this market. Interest rates are massively important, but they are part of the equation. If you've got inflation stalling and GDP neutral and unemployment ticking up when they drop interest rates, that doesn't mean the euro is bearish. That means we're worried because this is ticking up. We've got problems here because the GDP isn't increasing and our unemployment is rising. Putting that down means, right, now let's watch what happens with these over the next month to see if that is having an effect. If it starts to tick down and GDP drops, they cancel each other out again. If that ticks down and GDP pops, brilliant, we can start selling the euro. Yeah, so there's 100 cogs turning, and interest rates are just one of those cogs. They are a very big cog, but they will often be factored in. If you look at the euro on a longer term time frame, what have we been doing for the last 3 to 4 weeks on the euro? Yeah, not a lot, but we haven't been going up, have we? Which means the market has factored in the fact that the euro is going to drop. So if they've already done the play, when the news comes out, they could take profit on the move they've just put in. So the interest rates drop, the market spikes. All the retail traders go, huh? That doesn't make sense. It does, because they've already shorted it. Now they're taking profit on the short. You are going to try and short it and short it and short it and short it while they are basically looking for liquidity to what? Add to their short position. And then when we get up to here, it will continue to short. But they will buy it on that news, ready for the next position. What do they need? Somebody to sell it to them. So it just doesn't work that way. I wish it did. Life would be so much easier, wouldn't it? But unfortunately, it ain't the way the cookie crumbles. Sorry, I've just got a trade running over here. Just need to get out of... Actually, I might leave it for a bit. I'll leave it to the open. We've got 3 minutes to the open. Afternoon Segar. So there is only the certainty that volatility is coming. Yeah. Afternoon Virginia. Yeah. So basically, you'll always get volatility on news. The market participants use news as a tool to execute positions. Yeah. So you will find virtually all news events that are read will have volatility. Yeah, because market participants are adjusting their scorecard. So banks and institutions use scorecarding systems to determine directional bias. Yeah, so it's made up of all this stuff. Yeah, so I've got a scorecard on here. Look, my directional bias scorecard is a very minimized version of what the banks and institutions use. And it's basically taking into account what is going on at the moment with inflation, with the changes, with GDP, unemployment. They will factor in M2 money supply, all sorts of other things into that equation. And it will give them basically a bias and a strength of the currency. So they will make their move before the news comes out in anticipation of the news. When the news comes out, they will use the volatility and the volume of orders that comes in at that point to execute the next part of their position, which will either be a continuation or a profit take, dependent on what that news affects, how that news affects their scorecard. But one thing you do know is there's a hell of a lot of volume comes in, and that is all helping them execute their large orders in quick succession. So the more volume there is, if I've got $1 million to go long with, and there's only 200,000 sitting there wanting to sell, I can only buy 200,000's worth. Otherwise, if I put the whole million in, I'm going to have to go and find sellers much higher up than the price is at the moment, which creates a huge spike in the market. Bad for me because I get a worse price on my order. So the best thing to do is to take those 200 and sit there, wait for the price to come down again, then buy another 200 and buy all that liquidity up, wait for it to come down. So this is why you see in news, and this is a good example actually here. Yeah, this is why price spiked down and then spiked up and then came back to where it was. They're just executing large orders and exchanging positions basically, but there's no directional bias whatsoever. It's just banks using you, me, and other banks to execute their trades. That's when everybody presses the button. Right, market is about to open. So there we go, we're open. So today, so far, as you can see, nothing's happened. Nothing's that much. There's been a little bit of movement. So we've had a couple of hours of uptick on the indices. Now, we've had some news out this morning from Google and was it Google and Nvidia, wasn't it? Yeah. Apple, sorry. So Google and Apple lost their EU court case. So basically, they were basically based themselves in Ireland because of tax efficiencies, and the European courts were like, well, just because you're in Ireland doesn't mean you can't pay tax. So they both owed loads and loads of money in tax. So they both lost the case, meaning they got to pay up that tax. So there's a good chance that we may see a drop in the NASDAQ today. Well, that's what I was anticipating, because obviously they've just got a massive bill coming in. So you would expect their share prices to drop. That isn't the case so far today. So we'll watch the NASDAQ and see what happens. But I would anticipate, blimey, look at the Dow. I'll take that. 2R in 3 or 4 minutes. I've taken half of that off. It's a big drop, isn't it? So obviously those two stocks are in the NASDAQ. So we would expect a decrease in share price, but that certainly doesn't seem to be happening, does it, today? Bizarre, isn't it? What a move. DAX gap fill is underway, by the way, for anybody that was playing the gap fill here. So that's a gap from yesterday. They're on their way to fill it today. NASDAQ. It's a Dow. Where's all this coming from? You'd think Google and Apple were in the Dow, wouldn't you? Wait, that's dropped. That's what I was anticipating on the NASDAQ, but obviously it hasn't happened. I'm just going to let the second half of that trail. I'm quite surprised that's dropped so fast. I'm not quite sure if there's any other news I've missed this morning. Goldman Sachs, 400 million hit to third quarter results. Okay, Goldman Sachs. This might be caused by Goldman Sachs. What's the date today? 10th. GameStop today, aftermarket. Okay. Not quite sure why that's moved quite so fast, but so there's no other news today. Basically, that's it for news today. The main news tomorrow morning is obviously the pound GDP, but the main news tomorrow is going to be that CPI number. So we'll look at all that tomorrow morning. But tomorrow is the big day, basically. Just want to see if there's anything moving over here. Doesn't look like it, does it? Yens are on the move a little bit, or they were. Just nothing, is it? It's dead. Dead as a doornail. Okay, so we'll see where that see where we finish at the open. We've got 45 seconds left. So opening range breakout or stock index hedge strategy, whichever you're trading today. Nice clean break on the Dow. Too small range on the S&P and too small range on the NASDAQ today. So we'll be trading the 5-minute opening range on those two. Dow obviously is done. See if that continues. So downside on the Dow today, as you can see, the Globex session on the Dow today literally held up the last couple of hours of trading in New York yesterday. So if we do break that Globex low, which is basically where we've tapped into exactly today, pretty much, there's a clear flush all the way down today. There's nothing to stop this market today coming down really and testing. That's yesterday's low, and that's obviously Friday's low. So it's clear air below this level, look, because it just rallied continuously yesterday. So be watching this level here, which is this black line, which is the weekly low from, I think that's actually weekly high from the previous week, isn't it? Oh, sorry, that's a 3-week low. That's a really old level. So that's that level there. So we tapped into that twice on Thursday and Friday last week. That high there, that area. So that may be an area of interest, which is 5R today on the break. So that's a good target to watch to the downside. Other than that, it's a clean flush straight down. NASDAQ rejected the highs. Nice rejection candle there. Looks like it's going to break short. It's trying. Did I get a chance to look at the targeting thing on the EA? Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I can't remember what the outcome was. So I've only all I managed to get done was the target a percentage of trade open at 0.25. So basically, what that does is if you've got one trade, so AZ asked for an amendment to the EA, well, to look into it basically. So what this does, this target a percentage per trade open, instead of using a single target and a multiple target TP, what it does is it uses a multiple TP per trade. So if you've got one trade on, it would target, in this case, 0.25%. If you had two trades on, it would be 0.5%. Three trades on, 0.75%, and so on. So the idea being is when you get into a position, what have I got this set up to do at the moment? Daily, yeah. So what it does basically is when you get into a position, what it will do is it will, there we go. So first of all, we've gone long here on an RSI extension. There's one, obviously it just got out of, straight to TP. That's the second entry there. So you can see down here we've got per trade target is 0.25. So long per trade target at the moment is 0.25 because we've got one trade on. Yeah. If you let it run a little bit, we'll hopefully get a second on. This is where I just make money continuously and it hits target all the time when I'm trying to get it to do something wrong. Okay. So we're going to get a second trade on here. In a minute. There we go. So second entry's on. So we got a position there and a position there long. And now the long per trade target is 0.5%. So it now needs to make 0.5% profit because we've got two trades on. So the idea being, and this is what we do in real life kind of thing, is the more positions we have on, the higher the profit we make because we're building lot size. When that trade starts to go our way, we've got much more lot size on. So the move, we can make a lot more money on, basically. So that's the idea behind testing this. Now, my testing, so that one there, for example, there's three positions. So that closed out at 0.75%. Yeah, so that went from, I don't even know what this target is. So that went from 261 profit to 1,000. So it banks 750. It's a 10 grand account. 0.75 is $750. Yeah, so that's basically the way it works. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 positions on there. So the target for these 6 positions is 1.5%, 0.25 times 6, etc., etc. So yeah, so that's basically what I've done to start just kind of test it, and it works. I've got drawdown control going on as well. The problem with it is you get points where you're in a trade and you get to break even and it tips over break even to a point where you think, yeah, brilliant, I need to get out of this trade. And it won't get out because it wants to go further to make more money. So I've done very limited testing at the moment, but the testing that I've done on it doesn't really make an awful lot of difference. So, you know, it's profitable. It works. But it does not solve any problems of drawdown control. Yep. So this is the pound US dollar running from COVID to date. We've had 2 massive drawdown periods. Doesn't help with those. It doesn't really make any more money. So I don't know whether it's a worthy addition or not, but I need to do some testing with it. It's taking a bit of drawdown there, look. So we get a dip in a minute when it updates the chart. There we go. So that was that drawdown period. So obviously I've got drawdown control turned on. But it needs testing, basically. A lot more testing. Sorry, I just watched the NASDAQ. So we've got a clean break on the NAS, stopped out on the second half, pretty much a break even on the second half of the Dow. So nice clean £250 profit there. NASDAQ's broken short. So NASDAQ, obviously we've broken that previous day's high pre-market. So we'll see if that previous day high holds today. If it does, we're looking to come up and test. Sorry, that's a Dow. What am I talking about? Trying to look at the wrong chart. So if we do break, if that previous day's high holds here, we're looking to come up and test the previous day, which is Friday's high, which is ADR basically today. So we'll see if we get that continuation short. But yeah, it works. So I've got the functionality working to answer the question, but you know, it needs to be tested as to whether or not it actually has any benefit. I think the thing this would really help with is for people that are trading smaller time frames, and using high lot multiplication. So if you're using 1.3 to 1.5 lot multipliers, obviously if you're using martingale, and it's got potential to make a hell of a lot of money, but incredibly high risk and will probably kill you at some point. But if you're using slightly higher lot multiplication, like 1.3 multiplier per trade, you're going to get to those profit targets a lot quicker if they're bigger as well. So I think that's probably where the benefit would come. But yeah, these big drawdown periods are still there. Yeah. So overall, it's made 26 grand. It's fine. It's made money, but doesn't help with that in any way, shape, or form. So if you don't get that, a big drawdown squeeze. What have we not had squeeze this year? Euro pound, I don't think has it? So if you don't get that sort of squeeze, then I think you'll probably be all right, and it would probably make more money. %25 drawdown there. Okay, it's not really a fair test because we were in drawdown at the end of the test. So obviously, if that had carried on down, that would have gone back up to there. So somewhere between 130 to 140 profit on that. So yeah, it's good. But I need to program more into it. So I've done that. But if I'm going to do that, a percentage close, I also need to do an amount of money close as an option as well, because people that are not using risk percentages and are using monetary amounts over one ADR, they're going to need to target an amount of money rather than a percentage per position. So I need to code all that in, but it all needs to be thoroughly tested, basically. But yeah, so I did make progress with it, and it does make sense, but it's something I do manually anyway. So I don't know. The fines were held in escrow for Apple and Google, so already priced in. Were they? Okay, that would explain why the NASDAQ didn't collapse then. So the money, obviously, for those fines was put aside already. So the share price, obviously, I guess would assume that they were either going to get that money back or they would have paid the tax, but the money had already gone, so therefore it would be on the company's bottom line, so which shouldn't affect the share price. Another opportunity for a short if you wanted to take a retest on the Dow. NASDAQ, still thinking about it. Afternoon, George. Dow was so fast, I got sell limits. Get a better broker. Nothing you can do about that. Fast executing PC and a fast executing broker. If you're scalping, you need those orders in quick. Morning, Matt. Gone long Euro Swiss. Might be a bad move. I'm also long Euro Swiss, funnily enough, over here. That was the trade I was looking at a second ago. So I took a Euro Swiss this morning on this bounce here. So this is a really nice confluence level. So if you scroll back out. So we got this low here, which was the 2-week low, which we broke yesterday, but we really struggled to break it. Basically, they didn't really break it. They did break it, but they didn't last for a day below it. So we tapped into last week's low today, which was this order that sent the market flying for, a week or so out of this accumulation. So I took a little long here today as an intraday scalp, which is the trade I've got live at the moment. I was just about to close it out, but I'm looking for a pullback. Basically, if you look at it on the 15-minute time frame, I'm looking for that propulsion gap to hold to get a reversal alert out of these lows. But I don't really like the way that big sell came in there. So I'm just waiting to see if we break that high. But I'm at break even pretty much on it. I'm $80 in drawdown. My entry, my break even entry is basically at the top of that candle. There. It's just a quick scalp play. And also, if you're looking at long term, I mean, there's no RSI extensions on this for long term plays at all. So it's just kind of flip flopping around. Obviously, you've got to bear in mind the euro rates are changing on Thursday. So if you're going to draw down on this, and the market does have a negative reaction to that 3.65 interest rate on Thursday, you're out the bottom of here, and you know what the euro can do when the euro gets cross. Yeah, if the euro is not in a good mood, it doesn't come back. But I don't think that will happen now, to be honest, especially with the euro Swiss, because obviously the euro and the Swiss move together. So you're going to get a lot less movement on the euro Swiss. The ADR is only 55 on it. So a long opportunity there. You're likely to get a bounce at 250 ADR or so at last month's low. So it's not a bad long. But I'm kind of hoping intraday it just like pops its head up a bit. Nasdaq's really struggling. It's painting an inside bar on the 15-minute at the moment. Can't get anywhere. So that's your opening range, and that's the opening range break. We've pulled back inside, and we've just tried to go a little bit long, couldn't make it. So we need to see this low break. That low breaks, we should be off and flush down, but it's struggling, really struggling today. So is the S&P, but looking heavy. We need the crickets, don't we? We haven't had the crickets for ages. Should we turn the crickets on? That's what we like to hear, isn't it? Sellers. Over the years that they have been avoiding taxes, they have certainly saved a mini portion of the money. Yeah. They're a bit like the banks. Doesn't really matter what you do. If they slap a fine on you, it's never as much money as you've made by doing whatever it was you shouldn't have been doing. So good example of that is when I think it was Citibank and Barclays had a Telegram group going, telling each other when they were trading, which is insider trading, basically. So obviously they knew when there were large moves coming in the market. So if their commercial desk was about to execute 200 million US dollar long against the euro, they would tell the other party, and the other party would obviously go long on it before the move happened. So they get told off. They go, you can't do that. Here's a $25 million fine. No problem at all. We only made 250 million out of it. So 10% is not a bad cut. Money makes money. Nothing you can do about it. So we've rejected the lows on the NAS. You heard that selling coming in there on tick strike. really stalled out, and that's pushing up really fast as well. So a lot of selling came in there, all being absorbed at the lows. That was actually the S&P, but the S&P and the Nas did the same thing. So here come the buyers. There's just no direction. There's no volume in any direction, any sustained buying or selling so far today. So we'll give it another 5 or 10 minutes. Hopefully we'll get a breakout in one direction or the other, and then at least know what to do. But right now it's stuck. If you've got any FX pairs you want to look at, let me know. I'm going to have a quick whiz. I'll turn tick strike down because it's quite loud. I will have a quick whiz through all the FX pairs, basically because there's no ADRs, there's no weekly ranges. The only thing we've got is Aussie yen on a monthly, which I'm on already. I've got long on that already. There's nothing on RSI, so there's nothing to look at today because we haven't gone anywhere for 2 days. So it's a case of just jumping in. Paul's been typing in the wrong chat. Cost of doing business, yeah. So basically, if I'm going to do unhanded stuff, it's a bit like getting fined. You know, the water companies pumping a load of crap out into rivers. They get fined for it. So what they do is they put the bill up for the customer to cover the fine. Doesn't matter, does it? Same with the banks. Do something naughty, they just make sure that they make more money doing something naughty than you're going to fine them. It's the same thing as taking your kids out of school, isn't it? If they fine you £200 to take your kids out of school for a week, or £400 or whatever it is, yet by taking your kids out of school for a week, you save £2,000 on the holiday, you're going to take the kids out of school because it only costs £400 to take them out of school, or it costs £2,000 to wait until the school holidays to take them on holiday. Yeah, simple economics, isn't it? That cost me £4,000, that cost me £2,000. I'll take the kids out the last week of school. They don't do anything anyway. Happens in all walks of life, doesn't it? Buyers are coming in. Not making a lot of progress though either, are they? DAX has hit ADR. And the gap's filled on the DAX. So there's your gap fill from... that's weird. On my other broker over here, that is an ADR hit. But it's... So there's the candle high from Friday, from the closing candle on Friday on the hourly. So we've kind of filled the gap. And it's pretty much ADR. So that's yesterday's low. That's the open of yesterday. So we might find a DAX stalls out here. If you took that long retest on the Dow, well done. Nice profit. So watching this candle here, basically, which is the second 5-minute candle. Just going to see if they're going to hold this opening range. Doesn't look like they are. Load of sellers coming in. Can hear nothing but buying. And they're actually moving as well. So a lot more buyer heavy at the moment. Is everybody buying Apple now because they've got away with paying the fine? Also, the JPM silver short is a good example. I don't know about that one. But yeah. Lots of examples of people doing naughty things and getting away with it because they can. This is the problem. This is why you see all the Range Rovers, the Bentleys, the Ferraris. You walk around London, yeah. There's a tax where if you've got a petrol guzzling car, you have to pay a load of money to drive around London. So all the Ferraris, the Bentleys, the Range Rovers, the Rolls Royces, and that they all do it anyway because it doesn't make any difference. and then they just park wherever they want to, because a parking ticket will cost you £100 or whatever. And for them, that's fine. I want to park outside the cafe I'm going to have a coffee in. If it costs me £100, I don't care, because I've got a £250,000 Ferrari. What's 100 quid? I've just earned that. Swiss yen. Still. So we're inside bar just quickly before I whiz over to FX. So 15-minute candles. Here comes some sellers. They have really got no idea today. So there's your opening 15-minute range on the NASDAQ. We've got 3 minutes to go. We're painting an inside bar. So basically the 15-minute opening range, we're inside bar. So there are neither bulls or bears at the moment in control of this market. There's a lot of sellers coming in now, look. So DAX is still going down. Swiss yen. We're not going anywhere, basically. So we're stalled out at the moment on the Swiss yen. We're holding this low from 3 weeks ago, and then we've got the monthly low coming up. So obviously the Swiss and the yen dropped hard, or pushed hard, rallied hard together. So since that initial pullback, we've had that little bit of extra yen strength that came through last week. All it's done, though, is taken us back down to the range lows, which we are stalling at the moment. So until we break, so this is that basically, if you look at this on an hourly time frame, this is a symmetrical triangle. Yeah. So we're contracting at the moment. So until we break the high of the day or the low of the day today, we are putting an inside bar on the previous day. So we've got basically that's yesterday's range. This is today's range. So it's an inside bar. So until we break that high, and then confirm by breaking that high and that high, no idea. We're neutral RSI. There's no strength in either direction. So I suspect that is what we'll get until we get the CPI numbers. And then the CPI numbers will move the yen tomorrow. But could go either way. So I've got the Aussie yen on at the moment. I'm in exactly the same boat at the moment. 2 days sideways. I was hoping we were going to get a push up into propulsion today, but it looks like they've resold yesterday's high at the minute. But we've got a low, a higher low, and if we do push back up into there, it's a higher high, which is a upward wedge basically. So bullish. An ascending triangle is what I was trying to say. Upward wedge. Made new terminology up. So yeah. I'm just looking to get out of this. I just don't want to be in it. Just don't want to be in the yen. It's positive swaps though, which is nice. I'm sitting here making money every day I hold the position. Unlike the euro pound, I'm sitting here hemorrhaging cash left, right, and center. So again, I'm trying to get out of this euro pound. Hoping we can break high of day today, because that's Friday's high, yesterday's high, today's high. Again, same thing. We've got upward pressure. That propulsion move from that V-shaped recovery, they've rebought today, but we just can't seem to make any progress. This is 6, 7, 8 days now sideways. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days sideways. Stuck. There's my average. My average is within, my average is half an ADR away. It just can't put in an ADR. We haven't had an ADR move on this for 2 weeks. So stuck. A lot of stuff is stuck. I hear traders open offshore companies to avoid tax. Yep, they all do that. If they're making lots and lots and lots and lots of money, yeah. Dollar finally moving. Yeah, so we've got strength in the US dollar. I put a little buy-in today on the Euro US. So I took that one today. No other reason than it's the most extended thing I could find today. And I wanted to get some exposure on. So yesterday we got an extension and I was looking for that weekly low to hold today. So basically today, the reason I took this trade should be obvious. That's where I got in. Oh, it's invalidated now. But we had that big strong push up there off of the weekly low. So it's invalidated now though. So that's last week's low. We hit it today in Asia, rallied up, pulled back, pushed. So that was basically what I was just assuming was going to be a W pattern reversal. And as soon as I took the trade, obviously, it tanked. As it always does. So back up on this, obviously. It's a tricky one, actually. We've got this low here and that previous high. We've also got this area here, which we broke through and accumulated for a bit before we got news. And then obviously we just slammed through it. So that's a little bit of a dubious level there. I suspect we'll probably come back down and test this area here, which is, again, a previous high month. That's a monthly high. So that is a 2-month high, which we then accumulated around, broke it, tested it, popped. So we know there's buyers at last month's high, previous month's high rather, which is about 175 ADR. So second entry will go in here, third entry will go in there, and then we'll look for a pullback on that leg. However, obviously, I've gone long on the euro just before the news. So I will see where we are tomorrow. Lots of selling coming in, but we're not making much progress. So S&P is selling off. Dow is selling off. NASDAQ inside bar. So we're holding fast. So all this selling coming in, it's being absorbed very, very quickly and turning into a buy candle, yeah? They're finding it very, very hard to make progress today, the sellers. There's a lot of buy volume sitting in the market. Either one or two things is going to happen as always. All that buy volume that's being absorbed here will run out, and we'll keep that sell volume, and all the buyers will flip and turn short, in which case we'll flush down to here. Or that iceberg, whoever is putting it there, is going to keep putting it there until the sellers give up. You can hear it coming in. So constant selling, constant selling, constant selling, no progress, which means they are basically absorbing every order that's coming into the market. That can only last a certain amount of time before one party has to give up. Normally, it's the party that is absorbing is the one that tends to take control. But we'll see. Totally dead. Come on, Euro Swiss, push up a little bit. So 15-minute on the NAS. We've got lower high just gone in. So if this high holds for the next 10 minutes, you can see the selling pressure is there. Having another attempt at another low on the S&P as well. The Dow's already broken 3R. Pre-market low's gone on the Dow. So there's your Globex low just broken. So there's not really anywhere there to stop price today on the Dow. Apart from, as I said, there goes the sells. This area here is kind of the only resistant support downside I can see, which is just below, let's say, 406 basically. So we're either going to get that or we're going to flush as far as it can today. There we go. 4R on a Dow. Oh, that's so annoying. That trailer took me out there. Never mind. So S&P's broken down. DAX is way through the gap. So DAX is retesting last week's low and previous. Well, it's not even testing it. It's gone straight through it. Straight through. Big flush. There we go. unfortunately, the only one that I'm in short, obviously, isn't going anywhere. Usual. Wasn't New Zealand moving south? Yep. So this is Australian dollar weakness by the looks of things. So US dollar CAD is about to hit ADR. Canadian dollar weakening by the looks of things. Yeah, so CAD's coming down. And US dollar rallying a little bit at the open, which would explain why the stock market's coming down. However, obviously the NASDAQ is unable to break that low. I might regret this, but I'm getting out of those shorts. 130 loss on the NAS and 270 on the Dow. So we're not breaking this low. Look at that. Yeah. We've had pretty much sustained selling for 15 minutes. It's just not getting anywhere. So doesn't look like it's going to break short. There we go. Pop through that high there. Somebody just flipped short, flipped long, one of the shorts. The Dow's rejecting ADR. Sorry, the DAX is rejecting at ADR as well. So those lows have just been bought up on the DAX. Good looking long on the DAX. Right, so just going to whiz through the FX pairs and just see if there's anything of any interest at all. So propulsion move is holding by the looks of things on US dollar CAD from Friday. So that's our non-farm payroll unemployment rate numbers. Sideways, sideways, sideways. More sideways. It's just inside bars everywhere. New Zealand dollar CAD's broken to the upside. So I got out of that entry yesterday. I don't even know if I mentioned that yesterday, did I? New Zealand dollar CAD. I got into a New Zealand dollar CAD long yesterday, which I got out of. Why did I get into that? That was an ADR hit, I think. 739. Yeah, so that was 150 ADR. So I got in at 150 ADR on New Zealand CAD yesterday down here. Quick reversal, straight out. So that was a nice easy one. That was one of the ADRs yesterday. There's a few ADRs yesterday. Aussie dollar yen's going into drawdown. Pound US dollar slightly breaking down. Pound US dollar is a little bit of a tricky one because we've got all this leg to pull back into. So remember I said yesterday we've broken this low. This is a 38 retracement on that leg. More sellers coming. Blimey, look at that NASDAQ. That's a big sell order just coming. I am going to regret getting out of that. Oh well. I mean, you can't call this. Look at the wicks. And look at the bodies. This is just algorithmic today. There's literally no direction on the NAS. S&P and the Dow are fine. Dow 5R. So this is this area of support I said about. It's just flushing straight through it. Look, not interested today, is it? And back. We've got 3 minutes left on this candle. Look at those bodies. Can't do anything with that today at all. So this is a nice retracement on the pound US at the moment. So it's a 38 bounce. Oh no, sorry, that's not 38 bounce. Must be something else we were looking at yesterday. It's getting close. So this is a shallow pullback area potentially today. Really, there's nothing but clear air until you get down to this level here, this propulsion move, which is about 71.9 retracement. Other than that, from there until basically the news, there's just no downside support here at all. It's all clear air until you get to that 2-day accumulation, which is what we broke out of. So I think this has got more downside on it, but obviously the CPI numbers tomorrow are going to define where this goes. So if we get positive move on the CPI number, i.e. the CPI number drops, that will encourage much more of a 0.5 drop on that US rate, and this will come screaming down. If that CPI number pumps and we get a high bounce on the CPI tomorrow, there's a possibility they might consider that 0.25% drop, which means that the US may weaken a little bit, which will give this a bit of a grounds to go up. So we're just waiting for that news to come through. Okay, attempting lower. There we go. See that pop through there? So all the longs basically all stopped out, flipped short. That popped straight through that level. So that was all the buy stops getting executed, and it just straight through that. Oh, we've got an ADR. US dollar CAD. Okay, so his first ADR of the day. Pound yen ADR. So we've got some movement coming through finally. Not the way I want it to go though, which means Aussie yen's coming down as well. So yeah, it's an opportunity for a short on that. Wow, that's really selling off. So we've got an area of support. So I'm flipping around a lot today, but we've got an area of support coming up on the NASDAQ. 15-minute. So it's this propulsion move that broke the high in Globex today. So they may well rebuy that area. That's where they broke this morning. So it might get a little bit of a pullback here. Obviously, the sellers have just rallied through that level as well, so they might have to pull back a little before they go. But very heavy today, the market. So yeah, pound US dollar, pound New Zealand. Again, you know, we could go either way today. So pound yen is an ADR hit to the downside. So if you're interested in buying the yen, there's an opportunity there. However, I can't even get it on the chart. It's so long ago since we actually did anything. It's hard to get it on the chart. But this is the kind of final push before we sat into that 3-week accumulation. We've just broken low of the week, and we're running into, if they're still there, those buyers. However, I think that is more likely the profit take move on the intervention. So, you know, again, this could go either way, which is why I'm not particularly keen to be in the yen at the moment. It's very hard to call the direction on that one. 125 ADR on the ADR on the DAX. Pound Swiss. There's potential That's a broker candle, really, isn't it? It's in the middle of nowhere. Propulsion gap holding at the moment on pound odd, although that is a reversal short as well, so that could go either way. Downside looks good though for the pound against the Australian dollar. Aussie not reducing interest rates. Pound, we're looking for Bailey to drop. So this high here really is the high that we should be focusing on. So there is potential for them to push up into that area before they come down. But it's just not going anywhere. Nothing's extended. Just nothing extended at the moment. I can't see anything to get into because nothing has really moved enough so far this week. I think tomorrow we might get some good signals coming up on RSI, and there'll be some opportunities to get into some stuff. But it's just nothing really of interest. Euro Swiss on the lower time frame will be so looking for a higher low to go in here to give you that reversal off of the previous week's low. So they had a go at getting through that low, rebought it. This is the second run. If the buyers step in here, there's a good chance that's going to reject and just come back up and retest last week's highs, which are a bit further up. Much further up, actually, all the way up there. So see if that holds. That's a good possible long. I've got a long on that at the moment running as a scalp, but I'll be stopping out on it. If we get down to ADR, I'll get out. Euro CAD. Again, propulsion gap holding off of Friday's unemployment rate there. But, I mean, that is potentially a flag break. Yen's not very well, is it? So Aussie dollar, US dollar is good resistance here. Let's break that level, tested it. We've been holding that level all week. So this potentially could go from there. I'm just looking for scalp opportunities here, not for position trades. So again, here, good level to buy at. Drop down, lower time frame, wait for a reversal alert. So we've attempted that level already today once, failed. We're attempting it now. If it fails again here, that's a double bottom forming. And target upside would be back up into here for a scalp. Previous day's high. Aussie yen retesting yesterday's low. Market seems to have gone totally deadlit. It's all stopped. Just nothing much of interest. Nice little reversal alert there. So yesterday's low, taking a bounce off yesterday's low. There's your reversal alert and your retest. You've got to break that high. When that propulsion gap's gone, next target is up here. Again, Aussie dollar CAD, we're going to need that US dollar to have negative news tomorrow and weaken, which will bring the CAD down with it. More sellers coming in on the indices. There's no other CAD news this week. That's not a bad looking long. But I mean, it's still not extended. It's not a real good setup. There just aren't any good setups at the moment. It's just one of those weeks where we're just dead. So Euro Yen's broken the low, just about to hit ADR. So again, this could be a false breakout, but you haven't got far to go. Look, back up into propulsion. So, you know, for scalps, ADRs really are the best thing for scalps. Wait for the market to get really nicely extended on the daily. So you've got that momentum snapback and less chance of them pushing any further. But ideally, you want some kind of support with you to help. And like the pound yen, where we are at the moment, you've got this accumulation here. So there was your break, retest, rebought, 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 broke the high, retested, market structure flies off to the upside. So this is where they bought from, and this is where we are now. So that Euro Yen's just hit ADR. So that is potentially, but you need to wait for it to stop. You need to wait for some bulls to enter the market. And at the moment, there are none. You're not going to get a reversal alert on this either until you're like half an ADR away from where we are. It's just not tradable, really. Euro Yen, same thing. Swiss Yen, probably lower time frame wise, is best little scalp opportunity at the moment. You've got a backup down here. This is a good one you can take 2 trades on. So you've got a nice low coming up. Reverse alerts miles away. Yeah, these sorts of instances, you drop down to M1. And if you're going to take a scalp, just get in when you get some kind of structure break. Second entry, that's yesterday's low. Down at ADR, average in, and hope you get an ADR bounce. If you don't, stop out down there somewhere. Just got to try and grab some kind of entry of some description somewhere when the days are like this. When it's a quiet day following a quiet day, it's very hard to find opportunities. So so Euro Yen and Pound Yen are your ADRs at the moment, along with US dollar CAD, which is up at 125. I mean, there's literally nothing until we get back up there. You've got this area here, so that is potentially an area of interest, somewhere around there. Kind of need to draw. So that area there, let me pull back up into it. So that is your basically potential resistance area on US dollar CAD. Stop up there somewhere and aim to come back down and retest high of the day, high of yesterday. So drop down M5. Still not really going anywhere. Just can't do anything with this. It's just parabolic. The problem with parabolic moves is there is no structure breaks for a long time. This is one of the downsides of using any kind of confirmation. The good thing is, obviously, you know, you've certainly got the sellers on board, but it's such a long way. Your risk reward becomes very, very difficult. And if you just take the next bear candle that comes up, you could get stuck in exactly the same situation as that, and you'll just get stopped out straight away. So hard, these parabolic moves. Nothing of interest I can see at all. I've been watching that on my radar for potential short opportunity. ADR. Apart from that, not a lot. AZ took Euro Yen. I mean, there's just nothing there. Obviously, we're exhausted. We're at potential exhaustion point, but there's just nothing there for the market to really bounce off today. So we've bounced off of that there. This is awful. Terrible price action. Literally, you've had one decent move sideways. It's just awful. Propulsion move holding on the S&P at the minute. So they're adding more cells in there. Same with the Dow, adding more cells in there. Unfortunately, they're adding more buys in there. Load of rubbish today, isn't it? All over the place. So nice little profit, 130 odd this morning. Euro Swiss is holding. So good potential little long there. So and this is the weekly level. So that's not a bad looking long opportunity. Rejecting this level, but obviously it's below it at the moment. We need it to close above. But good rejection down there. See if that goes. Other than that, I think I'll call it a day. So today's news-wise, obviously, just there's nothing else coming out news-wise today. I suspect the market's just probably put its moves in for the day, what we've just seen. It may not do anything else. It might just retrace back to what it's just done. But we're waiting for the CPI number tomorrow, obviously. So last 2 days, very rangy, which you'd expect ahead of a CPI number from the US. So we're waiting for the US news tomorrow afternoon. Forecast is as expected, so or as previous. So we're not looking really for any movement on CPI. So the market is not really going to do much, I don't think, if we do get that 0.2. It means that they will probably factor in a 0.5 drop. Oh my, Nasdaq's off again. They'll probably factor in that 0.5 drop on the 18th of September, which could be bearish for the US. So if we come out as expected, I suspect we might get a little bit more bearishness. Other than that, it's a case of seeing if that does tick up or down tomorrow. Then we got crude, and then we're into the euro rates on Thursday morning. So I want to be flat euro if I can tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to get there. It just can't get there. I've been trying for 10 days to get here. So, in fact, that is break-even price, not break-even order. If I get there, I'm still going to be in drawdown because the commission on this is about $600 swaps. So I'll just have to see what happens with that one. But yeah, there's nothing much else to look at today, really. Tried to squeeze something out, but of the market, but there's not really a lot to squeeze today because it is completely bi-directional. Apart from that nice clean break we had, and I was just unfortunate to get tagged into my trailer there. If I hadn't been tagged in on that trailer, we'd be a 5R target today. So the danger of using trailing stops. They do what they say on the tin. They stop you out. So yeah. So that's all I've got for you today. Anything else you need, I'll be in Telegram or Discord. I'll be back tomorrow morning. We'll do a complete overview of all the pairs tomorrow morning. Excuse me. You can tell if you're one of those days. So yeah, we'll do a full overview of everything tomorrow morning. Trade the DAX and the FTSE. Have a look at where we're planning to go for CPI. But I suspect we'll be, I don't know. That's good looking. It's best trade of the day, that setup wise. But everything else, I suspect, will kind of be just flip-floppy around in this area by the time CPI comes out. And then obviously that's going to make the decision. So I haven't got any exposure at the moment. Much. I've got a US short on, which I think is probably the best direction to be on the US at the moment. Ooh, a big batch of sellers just came in there. So yeah, we'll just see where we go tomorrow, really. Not a lot else happening, is there? So we'll wait and see. Hopefully we'll have some RSIs to look at tomorrow. But until then, I will see you next time. Have a good day.